everybody? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Styles After Dark. Can I get a hood, yeah? Yeah, that shit slays. Hey, everyone, it's Sophia Styles, and today, happy Thursday. I believe this is when this video is coming out. Thank you, my little stylers, for your time. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that I am so freaking passionate, you guys. I last year in 2023 for me was a year of being comfortable in who I am as an individual because my whole life, I swear to you guys, I never was. I was never fully confident, and I still sometimes, obviously, I'm not the most freaking secure person on this planet. Everyone has their things, but I would like to say that I do love who Sophia is. And today I want to kind of talk about what makes you you and finding who you are and being happy with completely who that is and not getting so wrapped up in being someone else and something you're not, especially when we work with other people, we have friends, everyone's different. And just because your friend does this or your aunt does this or your coworker does this doesn't mean that you have to be that way or be like that. Or just because there's a trend going on doesn't mean that you have to be a part of that trend, whether it comes to fashion or personality or maybe a hobby that gets really popular and everyone's doing. And so now you feel like you have to do it. Or maybe there's someone that you think is really cool at work or someone that you've always looked up to and they're really about like beauty, but you've never really been into beauty and you've never been that girl. But there's no pressure to be that girl. So, guys, the whole point of this episode that I want to make is that I struggled for a long time trying to be something I wasn't. And being so happy and confident and comfortable in my own skin and knowing that not everyone is going to like me, not everyone is going to like this Sophia. And I think that's why for so long I was always trying to somehow adjust myself in certain situations and around certain people and maybe calm down certain versions of myself depending around who I was with to make them comfortable and for them to like me. Basically, I struggled with I wanted everyone to like me. And I don't know if some of you guys feel that way, but I know I can't be the only one. And I hope some of the girlies that are listening find something in this episode that resonates with them and they can take from. Sometimes we have to get out of our minds. Sometimes we have to get out of this illusion that sometimes I feel like even I'm in and others may be in, of where we get so wrapped up of like social media and what our life is supposed to look like and who we're supposed to be. I'm always talking from just my perception and my point of view and my experiences and what I've gone through, and hoping that where I am now and where I'm going to be, I can help someone else who might be where I once was, or maybe who's going through it right now, and we can just like be homies. We're on FaceTime right now, sis. We are, brother. Okay, let's start with my crazy ass thoughts. Let's start with those because I feel like some of us be living in our head rent free, like just literally thinking and thinking and thinking, overthinking. If you're anything like me, you're always in your head. And if you're like a normal average human being, everyone is always in their own fucking head, okay? I don't know if you've ever talked to someone or have ever had someone and you're like being yourself and you can just feel the tension, the energy, and you start thinking in your own head and you're like, oh my gosh, does this person like me? Oh my gosh, what I just said or what I did make this person uncomfortable? Or you go home and you're overthinking that thing that you said to that person, or maybe you could have worded it differently, or maybe you shouldn't have done that weird thing. If you're anything like me, I'm very extrovert, I'm very out there, I have very high energy, and that was one thing I really battled with because I feel like most people don't really show that side of themselves unless they get comfortable around you or unless they're with their friends, their family, and or maybe they're just more calm and chill and they're not such high energy. So my biggest battle until I was 23 last year and worked on it, was finally understanding that I am someone who does very random things. I am someone who is probably loud. I probably don't think so, and I probably wasn't aware of it for a long time. But maybe I am a little louder. Maybe I do things that people question, but that's okay. And it's okay if someone is questioning me and what I do, because that's more of a reflection of them. Like, what about me being comfortable with myself, me being random, me being a little loud? Why does that trigger someone else to think I'm annoying? It's like, why are you? And it doesn't mean that they're unhappy with themselves. I don't want to sit here and like tell people like, oh, that person's just so unhappy. That person is just so like unfulfilled with themselves and they just like can't stand themselves. So then they have to like hate on me. Like, no, some people, I'm just probably fucking obnoxious and I'm not their cup of tea. That's okay. And growing up, the cool girls and the popular girls, and it's so funny that I say this because I've heard from other people that I'm popular or they thought I was popular in high school, but it's so funny because even though I get that, I always felt like the quote unquote cool girls in high school that I looked up to, maybe, or the girl that I worked with who was so pretty and, the it bitch that you would think on social media or whatever. Like, I feel like we just all have our insecurities. We all are always in our own heads, or at least I am. And if you're not, then fucking applaud to you, sweetie, because me, yeah, I'm in my head and whatever. Anyways, back on track, Sophia, back on track. We have to remember at the end of the day, the thoughts that we have, like, what are we going to do with them? And why do we care so much about what someone else thinks of us? And I just want to spread a message that you should always be who you are at heart. And if you're holding back on who you are because of what other people are going to say, then like, ew, bye. No, we're not doing that in 2024. We're not. That is so ill. I hope you guys know I'm like literally fucking joking when I talk like that. I don't act that's just me. I'm like animated, okay? I have to add voice to it. I have to give it some juice, okay? Are you guys with me? Okay, I'm just checking. I'm making sure you guys are with me. Cuz this shit is all over the place and I know. So thank you for listening. We are being our authentic selves and I want us to work on not caring what Jimmy on Instagram, the cute guy that you met like one time at a bar, is going to think about you talking to a camera and putting yourself out there on TikTok. Or if you decide that, or if you always dreamt of like making a TikTok, but you can't because you're scared of what people are going to say, but that like that inner you knows that like you actually do have the ability to want to do something like that. There's actually something in you that wants to be a little TikToker. Maybe you want to dress in colorful clothes. Maybe you want to be more simple. If you're someone who is more introvert and you truly believe in your heart that you do not want to be social, or you do not want to be that girl who is going out all the time, or maybe being on Instagram, like I feel like sometimes people tell me like, "Oh, I wish I had the confidence to do videos like you do on TikTok. I wish I had the confidence to like wear what you wear." And as much as I always tell people, like, girl, like, do what you want to do, like, wear what you want to wear. You can. That's the thing. Like, you don't have to wish, you can. But I think most of the time, like, yeah, we might not be confident in doing those things, but it's like, do we actually want to be that? Do we act like, would that person actually want to wear what I'm wearing? Would you actually want to make videos, or does it just look like that person, does it just look cool? Because I feel like we also need to normalize not being someone who's super fashionable, being comfortable with not being someone who does their makeup every day, not be like, maybe you're just someone who feels the most comfortable and confident in sweatpants and oversized clothing and slick back tied buns. Maybe you don't care to keep up with fashion trends, and maybe you don't care to be the it girl. Like, hello, and that's okay too. I used to have this pressure 2 years ago. I remember um someone, like my best friend, kindly had told me, like, and I genuinely, I'm not like, don't think my bestie ain't my bestie for this or anything. Like, me and her keep it real with each other. And she didn't mean this in any harmful way. But I remember 2 years ago, she always looked more like sexy, and like she was always wearing more like, oh my God, like she looks so good. Like, and she was single in her days. She's like married now, married off to an amazing guy. But I remember even my mom said it. She looks so good. Like she's always just looking so intriguing, like blah, blah, blah. Like when we would go to the club and things like that. And I always looked at her and I was like, oh my gosh, like why don't like, I wish I was looking that sexy. I wish, and, or not even just my best friend, but other girls would always wear these like really sexy outfits. And I still see it. Literally having a conversation with my best friend about how she liked to dress that way and how my sense of style was a little more modest. After that, I shit you not, for the next year and a half or two, I started dressing more sexy and I started buying new clothes. I started to wear more crop tops and things that other girls were wearing who I thought were sexy so that I could be that bitch. I even did it last year. Like, if you look at my photos, there's like a point early in 2023 where I was being like scandalous and like sexy. And I remember just having those voices in the back of my head of my mom, like calling my best friend, like, oh my gosh, like so beautiful and sexy, and like her outfits, like, oh my God, look at her body, blah, blah, blah. And then as I went to therapy last year, I was, just gaining confidence, figuring out who I am. And as I did that, I started to slowly not really realize, but I think I hit a point where I also, and this has nothing to do with any girl, but this is just what was happening to me. I felt like I was attracting certain men dressing that way. And I was like, ew, like I feel like I saw a TikTok one day, like, oh, how you dress, blah, blah, will attract certain men. And so I tried it out. And I also started getting really into fashion. I always have been into fashion, and sometimes fashion trends aren't the most sexiest. Sometimes fashion trends are a little more modest and things like that. And so once I started getting more into fashion, I was dressing the way I wanted to, and I was dressing the way that made me the happiest. And I remember I feel like it started getting really popular dressing like neutral colors and a what is that one wardrobe called on fucking TikTok? Like where you basically wear all basic colors like white, cream, black, and it's like the clean girl aesthetic. If you look at my apartment, if you look at my clothes, one thing I always have loved is colors and colorful things, colorful blankets, colorful items, colorful clothes. Like I just love color. And that was an insecurity of mine too, because I was like, oh, like I want to be a clean girl aesthetic girly because look at that girl. She just looks so good. Like, why can't I want that? Like, I want to be like that. Like, I feel like a little kid dressing in all these colors. But y'all, who gives a fuck? Like, why did I give a shit? Why did I care? What if I like, who cares? Be yourself. If you want to wear something, wear it. If you like colors, you like colors. If you don't like colors that stand out, then don't wear those colors. And I feel like we all know that in your, like, not to be cheesy, but like in our heart, we low key know that. In our heart, I feel like we know who we truly are deep down inside, because I feel like we always know, we always have a gut feeling if we like something or not. Now I can honestly say, like, I wear what I want to wear, and if it's not sexy, it's not sexy. Sometimes I want to feel sexy. Like, I'm not saying that that era is closed for me. I know that as I was learning myself and I've done some growth in the past year, I knew I wasn't being true to myself, because yes, like I love to feel sexy sometimes, especially when you see that shit on Instagram. But at the same time, there's a part of me that loves that fashion and colorful side. And sometimes that shit just doesn't look sexy, and that is completely okay. So I want to, if you can resonate at all with this portion of the episode, I want you to take into consideration what I'm saying and maybe apply that to you and who you are. And if you want to wear color, wear fucking color. If you want to wear just black and that is who you are, that is fucking okay. If you want to wear sweatpants, just wear fucking sweatpants. Okay, sis, like be you and be happy with you. And I just want to say that because with Instagram and seeing what everyone else is doing with their lives, it's very hard not to compare. So now I want to dive into personalities because I don't know, and I'm sure this is like super childhood deep rooted. I don't really know where this came from, but for a long time I was not comfortable in being loud Sophia. And I touched base with this in the beginning, but I kind of want to go there now and dig a little deeper with anyone who might not feel comfortable in being who they are emotionally, or your personality, not even emotionally, but your personality, who you are as an individual. And this just all goes to like self-love issues and not loving completely who I am. I would look at other people and see what they're doing and like want to be them. And that was probably me not looking inwards and realizing and trying to discover like, okay, yeah, like that girl's cool. Yeah, you like that about her, but like who are you? It's almost like if you're too left and you're too right, you get so judged, right? Sometimes when you're too chill and you're too quiet, like people are like, "Oh, she doesn't talk. Oh, she's so boring." And then if you're too loud and you're too high energetic, which I would put myself in that category, people are like, "Oh my God, like she's too much." And I remember in high school, people would always like call me annoying. People would always be like saying I'm a lot, I'm too much. I would hang out with certain people and they would make me feel my personality was just a lot. And it wasn't even like they would say that to me. It's just comments over time. People kind of dim your light a little bit. There was people I would hang out with and they'd be like, "Bro, chill. Why you gotta do all that?" And when you hear that so often, if you're insecure, if you didn't grow up with parents who were constantly, let like reminding you to be who you are, constantly like giving you that love that every child needs, sometimes the opinions of others and the words of others can interfere with loving yourself. And I think that's honestly what happened. But, I'm an adult now and I've had to work on that and had to become aware of that. I want to push everyone if they might be in my position. If you have unintentionally had your light dimmed and maybe you've adjusted your personality for other people, let's become aware of that and let's start working on making ourselves happy and digging deep and reevaluating reevaluating who we are as an individual and what our personality is like, and not trying to be someone we're not. I feel so much happier and I feel more at peace now. I still have my moments. I always do. But I'm not constantly trying to be like someone else, and I've gotten a clear vision of who Sophia is. If someone says something like, "Oh, Sophia this, oh, Sophia that," it's like more of a reflection of them and it doesn't phase me. It doesn't, if someone were to make a comment like in the past and be like, "Bro, chill," like I'm like, that would honestly not hurt my feelings and make me feel like I have to be more calm and chill like someone else. I just think that that person's not for me. Oh, I'm too high energy for you. You're a little too calm. Oh, you're too boring for someone. Okay, cool. I'm not your cup of tea, and that's okay. I think another thing that hurt me through my healing process and that hurts when it comes to this world, and maybe something that I'm just have never done or thought of for other people, and it was really hard for me to understand, why do people care? Why do people care if I'm loud? Why do people care if this person is boring and whatever? Like, why do you have to talk about that person? Why do you have to make a face? Why do you have to tell another person, like, "Oh, this person," like, I don't understand that because I feel like I've never, and maybe actually, I'm sure I have. Sorry. I'm thinking about it and I'm like, maybe I have, and I just think I haven't because maybe I think I'm perfect, but I'm not. But yeah, no, I definitely probably have, and I just can't recall a time. But I guess for the most part, I try to not make someone feel weird for being themselves. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And I think that if you can recall a time, maybe you made someone feel or talked about someone who was just being themselves, maybe let's try to be aware and cut that shit out too in 2024. Another part of this episode now that I want to dive into is when this happens, I feel like we're going to lose people. And you might start to realize that there's some people in your life who don't allow you to be yourself, or maybe you start being yourself and your friends aren't vibing with it. There's coworkers that aren't vibing with it. That doesn't mean that you have to go steps backwards and withhold that. I feel like I started realizing that I don't have to live up to certain expectations that people have of me, and just be true to who I am and find the people that will allow me to be myself. I can genuinely say all the people in my life like love who I am. Was starting to realize that there was people I just wasn't going to bring with me. Discovering those things, how do you do that? Well, it starts by isolation, I would say. It starts by asking yourself questions. It starts by looking around your environment and being hyper aware. Life goes by so fast, and we are who we hang out with. And I think naturally, as humans, we just like start to mesh our personalities and things like that, and really taking into account if it matches with who you are and if it vibes. Because if it doesn't vibe, I love how like I talk. I love how I describe things. I hope you guys are keeping up with me. If it doesn't vibe and you make these realizations, that friend actually, when I do mention want to stay in more, or when I do mention that I would like to do this activity, and they kind of are like, oh, that's boring. Good for you. Like, I don't know, when someone has that reaction, it's like, okay, well, they're kind of putting down that. Or if you show your friend an outfit that you're wearing and they make a comment, oh, yeah, like I wouldn't wear that. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's so negative, and you might want to take into consideration if that person is accepting who you are, you know? Because there's a difference between a friend or a family member. If you're asking for their opinion and you're like, oh, like, what do you think of this outfit? And they're like, oh, like, that's cute, but I wouldn't wear it. Like, that's completely different. But if someone's like, oh, like, you've been doing this recently or doing that, and they comment on it, and it's not really a positive comment, like, they're not really like, oh my gosh, like, that's so cool, you've been doing this differently. But they kind of bring you down, and sometimes we're not aware of it. Oh, you were wearing that blue shirt the other day. You've never worn something like that. And you're like, oh yeah, like, I'm just trying something new. Like, I don't know, it's like a backhanded compliment. Sometimes they just go over our heads. It could be holding us back to a version of ourselves, to being who we really want to be, and staying right here when maybe you're not there. Maybe you got so caught up with being like Ashley. I don't know, I just threw in a fucking random name out there. Maybe you don't want to be exactly like Ashley. And this is where you start to see if the people around you accept you for you, because once you start changing, some people get weird. And that's life. Some people be getting weird because you don't want to be exactly like them. One thing about me is that I don't ever want to just get comfortable. I always want to see, like, change. Like, change is good. And I've realized that about life. I don't want to get so set in my ways and not be open to maybe trying new things. Like, recently, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but like, even my taste buds have been changing. And I've used to be like, oh, fuck no, because my mom used to cook shit like spinach and veggies and things like that. And now I've been implementing that and seeing if I can like add seasonings to try and eat healthy. But if you asked me 2 years ago, I'd be like, oh, hell no. Like, I'm not eating that. I'm not eating eggs with spinach and tomatoes. Like, I would actually rather not. Thank you. But I guess I just like to test myself and try different things just to see. Like, I'm like, why not? Why not try something that I think is going to be gross? And that just might make me, a lot of people might, I know, aren't like that, but I don't know. Maybe this can inspire someone to do that, because that's how I find out so much more about myself. I grew up around a lot of friends. went to festivals a lot, and this was kind of in my first episode in this new season. I went over like, being around like the party kids and the clubs and stuff like that. And a lot of the music I was around was like EDM and just a lot of like house music and things. And my music taste has changed so much, but I just know that the people I used to hang out with would actually like be like, no, like turn this shit off like in the car. Like sometimes I just put like jazz music, coffee, lobby, elevator music with a little bit of flair to it. It makes me feel so like I don't know. Like it's actually I feel like a fucking weird ass, but I don't know if it's because I've incorporated that to my videos on like TikTok, but it genuinely makes me feel so at peace, you guys. But if you would have asked me a year ago if my music would look like it did now, I genuinely I just I wouldn't believe you. It's so allow yourself to try new things and try them for like a week or two and just see what happens, you guys. But I know that the people around me now are like open-minded people, and if I put the music that I wanted to play in my car or even like my boyfriend or something, they'd be so down like cuz they're not closed-minded. And I think in 2024 we also have to realize that there are just some really closed-minded people out there, because I also have people at work that are chill, or people around me that are super chill and opposite of me but also accept me for who I am. But then there's also people that don't accept me for who I am, and I just think that's a reflection of them, and they're just so close-minded, and they like to stay where they're at, and they don't like to grow or just like be open-minded people. And those are the people I personally don't want to be around. No, thank you. I'm good. Hee hee. If you're lost, if you're not sure who you are and what you like, you got to dig deeper. You got to be aware. You got to try new things little by little. Be open-minded, and if that one friend thinks would never have that experience, that or try that experience, try that food, that doesn't mean that you don't have to. It doesn't mean that you don't need to or you don't have to. Like, be your own person, okay? Okay, my little stylers, be you, because I'm just so much happier. I hope this inspires someone who's maybe felt like they don't really know who they are. Maybe they're not as comfortable with who they are, but maybe it's just something little that they could turn around that could change that, like the things I talked about in this episode today. So, yeah, that's what I have to say. A year and a half ago, I would have been doing any of the things I'm doing right now, worn any of the things I would have been doing right now, listen to anything, because I was too scared of what of the people I was around, and the people, for some reason I cared about their opinions, what they would think of me, or as a girl, what guys would think of me, if they would think I'm not sexy enough, if they would think I like I don't know if I don't know, it's just weird. We're just in our heads, and it's stupid. It's so fucking stupid. You will find the people who love you for you, and they will gravitate to you, and so just keep that in mind. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. It made me really happy. I'm very passionate when it comes to this. You guys always know, and you guys can always reach out to me on Instagram. Always ask me any questions. Um, I'll never judge you. You will never be judged here. As long as you're being like a decent person, you will never be judged. As long as you're not being harmful to others, then I might judge you. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next episode. Definitely like this video. If you're listening to this on Spotify, hit the follow button to hear the next episode. Hit the like button if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I love you. I love it. I love you. Let's keep growing this year. 2024 is our fucking year. Thanks for listening. Bye.